Good morning, comic fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I am your ever Shorty. Today we're going to look at Planet Death. This was actually, according to the release schedule, supposed to be out like weeks ago, but UK stores, or at least this UK store, has finally got it in today. I'm really looking forward to this, so I'm not going to lie. A few reasons for it. Number one, the guy who created John Wick is involved, and as much as I think there's like a certain kind of diminishing returns along as something carries on, I was actually really impressed when I first saw John Wick. It turns out hardly anyone knew about it, even Keanu Reeves fans, and I got to tell a whole bunch of people how cool it was. Also, it was one of the free comic book day kind of things. Bad idea, never actually did it as an official one, but they sold a whole bunch very, very cheaply to a lot of stores, so we were giving it away. And it did get a lot of people's attention. It was very, very beautiful looking comic book with a kind of simple core concept, and I think just those on their own is enough to like really get me interested. And don't get me wrong, I have some issues with the core concept, which is one-man lone army, basically very obvious male power fantasy, but again, I can't really criticise that when I'm also a fan of John Wick. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think some of my favourite stuff recently has been the kind of movies that come out to like critique that or at least satirise that idea. I think Nobody has been one of my favourites recently. This one goes in a slightly different route though, and it's different enough to make me want to be a little bit more interested in it. And I think it's because when I was flicking through it today, not only was I thoroughly enjoying the artwork, like absolutely superb, definitely the right guy for doing the kind of mixture of really brutal, fast-paced sci-fi, violent action, and also really big conceptual sci-fi architecture. And I think getting those two done correctly in the same comic book with really, really nice double-page spreads of massive terrorizing armies mixed in with some very, very cool, finely detailed work for high concept sci-fi buildings, mechanisms, weapons, and armor. I think there's something like really, really great about that. It'd be easy to be like a very good artist at, well, it wouldn't be easy at all, but if you're really good at one of those things, you could probably get a fantastic career out of it and be known for doing certain things really quite well. The fact this guy does all of it is just brilliant. But it is the fact that the core concept isn't just the whole one-man army thing, although that is certainly there. Very early on, just in context clues and little bits of world building, the creators really get this idea across that this isn't just like the one-man army kind of thing, or isn't just being stranded on an alien world. I mean, I've read some pretty good stuff and seen some pretty good stuff which kind of does this quite effectively. I think there was I want to say Matt Kint, but I apologize if I've got the name wrong, where there was somebody trapped on some alternate dimensional world and the entire story became about communication rather than violence. This one is going down the violence route, but that's because it feels very much like this is a critique of people who get conscripted or get propagandized into joining the military. Repeatedly, early on, we get some very, very obvious propaganda tools in terms of how they get people to do what they need to do. Because, yeah, you could kind of write it off as just, no, it's just going through the motions, going instructions for what it is, and they've got a very, very simple mission, destroy the weapon, come home. But by making it that simple and then adding the carrot of coming home at the end of it, it feels like, yeah, okay, this is the kind of thing where maybe if people were soldiers, they will be more inclined to do it. If they wanted to go and join a war, it could at least give them a way out of it. But there's something about the full-on what's the phrase I'm looking for? The Ford car company, basically production line of making soldiers. The dehumanizing nature of it. It reminded me a little bit of Warhammer 40,000, not quite Space Marines, more Imperial Guard, but more than that, it was Starship Troopers. And I've referenced Starship Troopers a bit recently, but it feels like it is always going to be relevant to talk about how propaganda works in terms of warmongering, including fearmongering. There always is going to be a bad guy, and that is essential to keep money rolling into the military-industrial complex. I don't know entirely if this is like core concept for what these guys are doing, but it absolutely works that way. And I think, as I've said before, interpretation matters for artistic enjoyment. In this case, yes, I am getting an awful lot of what I want from this, and at the same time, big, over the top, ballsy, high-octane sci-fi action. And that's not a bad thing either. I don't really mind that kind of storytelling. I'd rather that than sometimes going full cerebral. Don't get me wrong, I quite enjoy some high-concept sci-fi, but I'm far more into the dark and dirty kind of stuff. I much prefer cyberpunk over Asimov kind of writing. It's just the way I'm kind of wired for that thing. So this one, it feels like, yeah, there's some big high-concept stuff going on, But it's a story about like just a few guys doing terrible things because they think it's the only option they've got. And I'm really looking forward to what's going to happen. The one last thing, I'm over my time now, but I quite like the fact that because of the issue 0, I know what's going on more than the characters in the comic. I find that's also like a really good thing that leans into the idea of propagandizing and them not knowing what's going on. Genuinely cool idea. Only 4 issues, but I'm really looking forward to what else happens in the rest of it. That's it for me for now, though. Until I see you again, look after yourself, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.